index is closed to the general public 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. No entry is allowed except for airline passengers and persons meeting, accompanying, or...
Art and faith saved my life. Totally changed me from who I was, and it gave me hope. So the way I approach the work is to share what it's done for me. So that's really what I hope, is to bring people hope. The mural is about immigration and migration and why we migrate. And it's really for hope, right? And it's for life. So whether it's for a better opportunity or to visit loved ones or to just kind of take a break from the busy world, there's a need for migration. And so these birds totally represent who we are. I'm Trinh Mai, and I'm a fine art professional. I do a lot of different art, but paint is my first love. And it's just felt so good and freeing to be able to do this like very meticulous work and then now feeling it in my body as I'm painting all down the wall. Like it feels so good. I was trained as an abstract painter, and I started off painting large scale. Like probably nothing smaller than 3 by 4 feet when I started painting. Not because I'm so courageous, but it's my instructor at the time, Robert Carrito. He was like, yeah, that's what we're gonna do. We're not gonna go any smaller than, I think it was 4 by 5 feet. And so because I'm 5 feet tall, I was able to immerse myself in the painting. So I've always loved painting large scale. And there's something about feeling the movement in my body. It's not just painting. It felt more like creating an environment rather than painting a picture. And that's what I really loved, because I could just step into it and really lose myself into the drips and the oil and the viscosity of the paint and the color. And so this totally feels that way. The flourishings, like these things, when I to get that arc, I actually have to like move my body and isolate my certain parts of my arm, right? So maybe it's like a shoulder or just an elbow, and the body is just so, it's magnificent. I mean, it makes the perfect arc, and I have to be able to do that, and it just feels really good. It feels so free. So there's just a lot of layers in this. There's the movement that you see on this flat surface. So this kind of, you'll see the negative space kind of running through, all the way through for breathing room. But then there's also this movement, right? There's like the depth of it. I wanted to leave more breathing room so that it wasn't so overwhelming. And I know that when people are walking through here, they're rushing to get to where they need to go. So it's like very fast paced, and I just kind of wanted like these spaces to kind of open up, because there's a lot of activity. I mean, you have like the movement of the shapes and, you know, a lot of color, a lot of different shapes, and so it's already very active. So it's nice to have kind of like these resting points, you know, through here. And it just kind of opens up a little bit. Yeah, and that feels really good. So many artists, that natural born artists, are like, yeah, I used to paint, I used to write poetry, I used to, you know, write, you know, I worked on a book for a really long time and put it aside because life happens, and these things happen, it's life, you know, but being able to spend time and speak with them and encourage them. One of the things I like to encourage people is to give yourself 2 minutes a week, and that's totally achievable. I mean, like 2 minutes a week, we could do that. But so what that does is it plants a seed, and the 2 minutes naturally becomes 5, becomes 10. And then I encourage people to leave the work out where they could see it. So as we're like pouring our coffee, we might see it. Oh, maybe I'll just add a couple more words or add a couple more strokes to the painting. And then it just becomes part of a habit, which is what we want. And then the artist needs to create, or else we will just like wither and die. It's like, that's why I do these. Just trust yourself. Trust yourself. Like, again, another life lesson, right? Like, we have to learn to build those habits wherein we can more easily trust what we're doing and just like being faithful. How do I call for like a stillness while all this activity is going on? Right? Which is the world. Things are buzzing around us. We have all of these responsibilities. We have all of these roles to play in life. There are, obligations that we have, and there's, these dreams that we want to accomplish, and it's busy. So how do we go about keeping that stillness and that peace in our hearts to kind of ground us and like to serve as this foundation upon which we can build? And that's where my faith comes in, is it keeps me still, it keeps me faithful and hopeful for what is to come. But I know that this is life. It's not always happy. There's tragedy and there's sorrow. But I found from my own experience that these moments have led to like just such profound growth and discovery within myself, within the family. It grounds me. So like keeping that kind of quiet, kind of peaceful feeling within this very active space, it's really an expression of what I hope to do in life. So the way that I like to approach the work is less, I have something to say, this is a statement I'm trying to make. It's more like, these are the things that I've learned, or these are the things that I'm still trying to figure out, and I just want to share it because maybe we can begin discussing it, and maybe I'll gather more knowledge and wisdom that way if I put it out there and we can share ideas. And so, the response is, it's a seeking, really. That's essentially what my creative process is a seeking, more so than a need to like say something. If we're born with these gifts, and by putting time and effort into refining the gifts, it's an act of obedience, and also rebellion, because the world will tell you, no, you like be an accountant. I'm like, that requires math and that ain't my strong suit. It's like be the thing that makes you money, right? Like that's what the world will try to encourage us. So creativity is such an act of rebellion in that it's like, I'm gonna take my gift and I just want to share it with the world and just trust that it'll work out. And I am so grateful. I am so grateful that to be able to have these opportunities to do this for people and just for my own emotional, mental health. It's art and prayer and life and faith for me is just woven into this thing, this experience. And there is no separating it for me. It's just what I've known, and so I'm so grateful for these opportunities. What I love so much about birds is their behaviors are so very different among the species. Some of them build nests in pairs. Some of them build their nests in colonies, so they have their own little villages, like the violet green swallow. The swallows build their nests in these colonies out of mud, and they take like endless trips just gathering mud in their tiny little beaks because they're such small birds, and they do it together. It's so beautiful, and they flock from all over. Some species are known to migrate together, which is very interesting too. And so they build. They're natural builders, and they're among the world's most brilliant architects. This is a Vietnamese greenfinch here, native of Vietnam. And so she's kind of coming up forth, and then I'll push her back with some of the flourishing. So originally the flourishing was feeling like clouds. And when kids walk through here, a lot of them will mention the flowers. They'll say the flower thingies. So there's this thing that I'm trying to do to bring depth into a flat surface. So that's been really fun too. My hope is to make good, honest art. And I think what I mean by that is just kind of like, it's kind of simple really, like letting go of whatever, again, letting go. He was writing out buông xả đi, and it's this letting go. That's what it means in Vietnamese. Of whatever expectations that other people have, mostly expectations that I have, really. I think that's the one thing I love about getting older is you stop caring so much about what other people think. So I just want to make the work that's meaningful to me, and I want it to serve others in whatever way it can. Such an act of surrender to make work. So it's like we're informing the thing, but it's also informing us. And it's also being informed by forces that we can't see or we don't even know, which is really cool. I've been asked, like, is your goal to inspire people? And I'm like, I'm not as concerned about me inspiring people as I just really want people to be inspired. Like, what would it be like if everybody was inspired? That would be amazing. What inspires people is like truth, I think, you know, and love, like true love. Selfless love.
LAX is closed to the general public 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. No entry is allowed except for airline passengers and persons meeting.
What would it be like if everybody was inspired?